Good morning, my name is Andrea Lugo, and this is my Pia video, which is chapter 3, the biosphere. First, there's 3.1. What is ecology? Ecology is a scientific study of the relationship between organisms and with their physical environment. Then we have the biotic factors, which are the biological influences on organisms, or better said, the things that are alive, which means living things. Then we have the abiotic factors, the physical components of an ecosystem. This means the factors that are not alive, which are like wind, water, air, etc. Then we have three different methods that ecologists use in their work. First, we have observation, which is when scientists or ecologists make a question. Then we have experimentation, which is when you test your hypothesis. And then we have modeling, which this helps ecologists give like a model of how it's the phenomenon. Then we have levels of organization. First, you have species, which is like one individual, just one. Then you have population, which is like a lot of those individuals together. Like if you have one elephant, and then that's species, and then you have population, which is like a group of a lot of elephants. Then you have community, which is a lot of populations of different individuals together. Then we have an ecosystem, which is when all organisms or living things live together in a certain like place. And finally, well, almost finally, we have the biome, which is like different kinds of ecosystems. For example, the tundra and the savanna and desert and the forest when they are together. And finally, we have the biosphere, which is like our planet. 3.2. Energy producers and consumers. First of all, what is a primary producer? A primary producer is the first producer in a chain, food chain or web, which it's later used by other organisms. This kind of producers are autotrophs. This means that they get energy from the sun and they produce their food by themselves. Then we have the organisms that rely on other organisms for energy nutrients, which are called consumers. And this kind of like consumers are called heterotrophs, which rely on other animals for food. Then we have photosynthesis, which is the process where organisms capture light energy and use other power chemical reactions to convert carbon dioxide to water into oxygen and create nutrients. Then we have the chemosynthesis, which are organisms that happen to be in a process where there's no light, like they are in the water, they are, or in the oceans, they are like in the very bottom. Then we have different kinds of consumers. First, we have the carnivores, which kill other animals and eat them. Then we have the herbivores, which eat from plants. Then we have the omnivores, which eat from both. They're carnivores and herbivores. Then we have the scavengers, which are animals that consume the carcasses of other animals. It means like the wasters and everything they live. Then we have the decomposers, such as bacteria and fungi, which feed by chemically breaking down matter, and these leave little like something produced that is called detritus, and this is eaten by the detritivores, which are the final step, or the last consumers. 3.3. Energy flow in ecosystems. First of all, what is a food chain? A food chain is a series of steps in which organisms transfer energy by eating and being eaten. Then we have the plankton, which are little aquatic organisms that live, well, in the aquatic ecosystems. Then these are divided into phytoplankton, which is the plants, like the little organism plants, and then zooplankton, which are the little animals in the water ecosystem. Then we have the food web, which is a network that gives animals a variety to choose from to eat. And then we have the trophic level, which is every step in the food chain. Then we have ecological parameters, which show the relative amount of energy and matter contained in each trophic level. These parameters of energy are divided in three different. The parameter of energy, which shows in every tropic level the energy that is like shown or available for each animal. Then we have the biomass parameter, which shows the living organic matter available in each tropic level. And finally, we have the parameter of numbers, which shows the number of individuals available in each tropic level in a food chain or food web. 3.4 Cycles of matter. Unlike there's only one way of flow of energy, matter is recycled within and between ecosystems. First of all, what is biogeochemical processes? These are the cycles of matter that involve the biological processes, the geological processes, the chemical and physical processes, and the human activity. Then we have that water cycles move through biosphere with continuous moves between oceans, atmosphere, land, and sometimes outside organisms and sometimes inside them. This means like the water cycle that we have seen through all our lives, which is like condensation, evaporation, precipitation, and all these processes. Then we have the nutrients, which are needed to build tissues and carry out life functions. Finally, we have three processes that are needed in the nitrogen cycle. First of all, we have nitrogen fixation, which is when bacteria change nitrogen gas into ammonia. And from this comes the nitrification, which is when other bacteria like take nitrates and change it to nitrogen gas, which is then released to the atmosphere, and that's when it happens that process which is called nitrification. Finally, we have the limiting nutrient. The limiting nutrient is when there's a nutrient whose supply is limited. Finally, I think we should have knowledge about this chapter because it's the biosphere, like it's where we live, and this is how we are like organized, like the energy, well, not the energy levels, but the levels of organization. And this means for the animals, for the plants, and for us humans. Also, we should know about ecology because that's the study of all of the biosphere and its interactions, and as well as we should know the cycles of matter because if an obstacle comes, we should know another way to keep the process like continuing. And also we should know the parameters of energy because that's from where we eat and live